Market conditions still showing some considerable weakness here and sitting at, got a bullish majority at 8 to 6 here on the daily time frame, but that is certainly starting to weaken. We've got the 1 hour time frame, which is majority bearish at 14 to the downside. Had some news this morning that is moving markets a little bit as far as the inflation number, but we'll see if we hold up here. This 5867 number on S&P 500 is at risk of breaking down to that 382. That's the 236 location, and we've also got that continued move to the downside, 19.52 on the stocks above the 50-day moving average for the S&P 500. Again, that means that 80% of the S&P 500 stocks are now below that 50-day moving average. That's a pretty slow moving trend for those stocks to be able to be doing that. That said, we are certainly extended to the downside. We could see a counter trend rally that might pull some of those names back to the upside. We're also seeing volatility here now, a majority bullish at 14 on the daily, and this news item that we had this morning is pulling that back pre-market just a little bit here. But that is at 13 and 1. So with the huge amount of volatility we've had, not surprising to get a little bit of a pullback. But this daily time frame, you can see where that range potentially could go with some added volatility and similar type price pattern of reversal of trend and a massive solid bar the other day when we did have that selling. That was for sure wholesale institutional selling. Everything just got sold off at those levels, and it had already started to happen. We had talked about this pattern here happening back a few weeks ago, and we're seeing a move lower in this stocks above the 50-day moving average for the S&P 500, and so there was distribution starting to happen a week or so ago in S&P 500 names, just not the big ones that are holding it up. So some weakness here across the board in all indexes. Let's just jump over and look at Nasdaq. We're seeing 11 and 3 on the daily time frame, and certainly a trend shift happening here. You can see that broken trend where we've now got a retracement down below this low as well. The daily chart, we're sitting right at that 511. Let's look at SPY 5 down to 581. So we're moving lower still this morning, and it's again, these are pretty significant areas of retracement. Some of the things that are breaking, particularly in the volatility is moving higher. We're seeing that internal breadth really weakening as well. Dow Jones Industrials has been just selling off for, I think the number was like 10 days in a row. These have all been down days. We're now testing that, sliced right through that 382 number, now looking at the 382 for support areas on the Dow. Let's look at bonds here to see if we're holding up. Continue to slide yesterday on TLT and a little bit of a support here on SHY. Keep an eye on this compression here on SHY right here. This is the short end of the yield curve, and it's now squeezing quite tightly here as well on the 60-minute time frame on SHY. That's as that slides, that means interest rates are going higher. We'll see how that works out here over the next few days and weeks. Let's jump through the sectors. I'm going to start going through these relatively quickly as we're glancing through, watching these numbers here. Majority bullish, 10 and 4, and then also watching this 1 hour time frame. This is technology. We've got consumer discretionary at 12 and 2. It is also now ticked down to a bearish trend. And again, when these start to happen, these can sometimes give us whipsaw where we do get a trend. It enters into that downtrend zone, but it's still in an overall supportive bull market and moving higher. But where we're so extended right here in this trend, we'll see if we get a retracement potentially back to that 95 range on consumer discretionary, that is IYC. And the remaining sectors that we've got to go through, most of these I believe are pretty nasty bearish. Majority bearish here on industrials, and 7 and 7 on financials. Majority bearish on real estate, still at 14. We've got 12 and 2 on utilities, majority bearish there as well. Majority bearish on basic materials at 14. Went a little bit quick right there. Basic materials, we looked at that's consumer staples. Also, a lot of weakness here. A little bit tighter trend right here as it's compressing, but pretty big sell-off here on these names. We're seeing 14 on the transportation index. Healthcare is also continuing to slide majority bearish in those solid downtrends. And let's jump over and look at gold, oil, and silver. USO. Majority bearish still 11-3. It's attempting this move higher. You can see now 12-2 on the 1 hour time frame. Nothing overly exciting there on USO. Gold is the one to watch to see if we can hold up and find some support right here. It's moved to majority bearish at 8-6 and 14 on the 1 hour. So it's got some work to do to gain some bullish momentum again, but accelerating to the downside on gold, and silver in lockstep for the most part with gold as well. A couple stock ideas to consider today in the scans. EAT, which is Brinker International, good solid uptrend. It's been holding up here pretty well. It's also in that consumer discretionary space as far as restaurants and eating out and things like that. That could be affected, though, and it's at pretty lofty levels, but it's still holding up right there. One to keep an eye on at least. DOCS also does have a confirmation bar with some volume, about one of the only ones that we really had, and also getting some tight compression here with majority bullish on the 1 hour as it's compressing here and looking for that expansion. DOCS, interesting name to consider at these levels. That'll do it for today's update. Everyone have a fantastic day today.